Number one, there's insufficient evidence for Vatican I notion of papal supremacy. Number two, Matthew 16:18 does not support papal supremacy. Even if we grant that Peter is the rock, and we can go either way, that's either his confession or that's a far stretch from supremacy, even if it's primacy. Number three, the unity of Rome is only by name. So I brought this up like, oh, they promise unity, and there is no unity, despite their claims. They criticize us for being divided along national and jurisdictional lines, i.e. our autocephaly, yet they're not united liturgically, ethnically, nationally, theologically, in terms of spiritual practices. They have 23 different rites. You know, you go, yeah, but they're all under the Pope. Well, it's a superficial unity that's not a unity. A unity that's not a unity, in unity by name only. That's an excellent critique and refutation of papism. Number six, the Council of Lyons makes the Filioque dogmatic. Rejection of Roman Catholic dogma puts one outside of the Roman Catholic Church. St. Gregory Palamas and the Palamite councils reject the Filioque. Black Rene condemns the Filioque. And St. Gregory, by the Roman standards, is a heretic outside the Roman Church. But now what? Dogma changes. The thing that can't change it in Rome changes. And now they acknowledge St. Gregory Palamas as a saint. See the unionism proves Roman Catholicism false and Orthodoxy true. There are councils. They say basically the only councils can only be called by the Pope, but their councils are called apart from the Pope. There's also the indefectibility of the papacy they mentioned. Doctrinal inconsistencies with history, multiple conflicting theological schools, papal forgeries created to attempt to support papal supremacy. That's an argument again. 6, non-exclusivist ecclesiology. Now that's changed, right? It was exclusive. Now it's inclusive. You can have these different things. That's changed that. A non-falsification principle, where the papal supremacy can and does overrule previous supreme judgments. Fundamentally systemic contradiction. Does not live up, the system of papism does not live up to the standards and promises that it of epistemic certitude on faith and morals. They change their position on that all the time while they criticize, well, you guys have nothing, you have no dogma on on contraception. Yeah, we do. It's just not the way that you define it. And guess what? You changed on that. Oh, you allow divorce. We don't allow, there's no right of divorce. We don't allow, right? We apply economia and realize it's a sin. Okay. But St. Basil and your own saints allow for it, that you accept it. So you change your position on that. Dictatus Papae, the Pope calls him, can be judged by no one, yet they judge the Pope. And guess what? They're confused also, or they're lying. Because, oh, well, that's not ex cathedra. But that applies to ordinary magisterium too. You can't actually judge. So, and that relates to the problem of indefectibility. Conflicting historical magisteriums on the same issues is a fundamentally contradictory thing in papism. The development of doctrine is another refutation, which also relates to the non-falsifiable. Well, it's development, you see. So there's no way to actually falsify anything because they keep putting in these ad hoc rescues and made the whole system unfalsifiable. That itself makes it false. Look at the Lateran Council 649. The Sixth Ecumenical Council does not cite the Lateran Council. If all that was needed was a pope, then they'd have no need for the Sixth Ecumenical Council, since the Pope resolved all those issues in the Lateran Council. Pope Vigilius is another refutation. The Fifth Ecumenical Council was shown to actually be over and above the Pope. The Pope did not originally agree with it, and he was made to submit to it. That refutes papism right there. Saint Valitios dies outside of communion with Rome, but now he's a saint, so a contradiction. Heretics and councils called outside of Rome that correctly taught the Trinity, but then Rome accepts them retrospectively. That's another refutation. St. Basil's letter, 66 or 69, to Athanasius of Alexandria, shows that there was no Vatican I idea in the first millennium, and because he calls and complains Rome is useless. So obviously it shows, because they're saying that didn't exist, right? There was no mindset of that. It's like, well, it is. Like, we find saints actually saying that we don't need Rome. In fact, Rome in these issues is useless. The whole idea that the Petrine See can only be limited to Rome forever and always is false. There are 3 Petrine Sees: Antioch, Alexandria, and Rome. Pope St. Gregory even acknowledges that. And also, first and foremost, the See of St. Peter is Antioch, prior to him establishing Rome. So if you want to follow Peter and the See of Peter, it's actually Antioch. He sat in Antioch for 7 years. The Chieti document in Alexandria, a document, now makes a reversal on dogma and admits Orthodox synodality is correct, another contradiction. All of those. I think that's a good kind of summary of and the generalities of the errors and fundamental contradictions of Rome. Now, keep in mind, they'll try to drag you down into endless quotes and rearranging quotes and making a case. I don't have the best memory on history and everything. I don't need to go to those. I stay at the generality. Yeah, but those are epistemic-ish principles that I can clearly see. So it's a red herring to get down lost like Ybarra and Albright get into I'm not even going to go there. Because those are those are still issues. There's nothing you can do in terms of quotes to refute those. So stay at those general epistemic principles and see and avoid the kind of red herrings of going into quote mines and stuff like that, because it confuses people. It makes it look like it's semantic sorcery.